Come and light a Shabbat candle. Come and light a Shabbat candle. I don't think we have enough torches up here. Hello, Saray. How are we doing? Good, good, good. Do we need... Hello, James. How do I sound? Thank you. James, what happened to this thing? I think somebody used this, and it wasn't me. This thing is totally twisted in this very weird way. We might have a minion tonight. That sounds... Yeah, I just moved it. How you doing, sir? All right. At some point we need to have a conversation with the cameras. Are they all working right now?
Check, check.
If you have not yet lit a Shabbat candle, come forward and light one of our Shabbat candles. Come on forward and light a Shabbat candle. Even if your hair is blue, you are welcome to light a Shabbat candle. We have no blue prejudice here. Hello, how are we doing, Karen? Come light a Shabbat candle. We're going to begin services in about 5 minutes or less. Come light a Shabbat candle. Sandy, you don't want to light a Shabbat candle? Hey, vey. Susan, come light a Shabbat candle. Bring your crowd with you. Shabbat shalom. Good to see you. Hello, Fred and Doreen. Come and light a Shabbat candle.
I'm just washing.
You okay? Come light a Shabbat candle. Hello, sir. Good to see you.
Yes, I could bring some.
We're going to begin in 2 minutes. If you'd like to light a candle, do so. Boy, we're scattered all over the room tonight. Hello, Josh. If everyone could grab a seat so we could begin. If we can get like a 2-minute timer up and then let me know when we're done. Let's all grab a seat. James, are we ready? I think that's a thumbs up. Great. Let's take a moment to take a deep breath in and out. Another breath in and out. In and out. As most of you know, our services can have a lot of energy to them, but tonight we don't focus just on Shabbat, we also focus on Tisha B'Av. And because of that, it takes a more somber tone. And during the holiday of Tisha B'Av, it is customary to announce the number of years since the destruction of the first temple. 2,610 years have passed since the Babylonians ransacked our temple, the first temple, and dispersed us from our homeland and from Jerusalem. Tisha B'Av is named for the 9th day of the month of Av, and it's an annual fast day that begins Monday night if you wanted to fast. And it commemorates the destruction of both the first temple and the second temple, which occurred on the exact same date, 656 years apart. And so Tisha B'Av has, become known as the saddest day in Jewish history. And Psalm 136 speaks about our exile from Jerusalem, the exile that occurred on the 9th of Av. And we read this psalm, and it says, "At Babel's rivers, there we sat, and there we wept while we remembered Zion. There beside the river's willows, we hung up our harps, because our captors there demanded us words of song. And those who mocked us called for sounds of joy. Sing for us one of the songs of Zion." Excuse me. How can we sing a song of Zion's strength upon a foreign soil? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its strength. Let my tongue cling thickly to my palate. If I ever fail to keep you in my memory, if I should ever fail to hold Jerusalem above my highest joy. Tonight we remember Jerusalem. And so I light a Yizkor candle to honor the past, to remember all the years we did not have Jerusalem, and to think about all that has occurred. And today, in today's world, we do have Jerusalem, but our hearts still break for that city because of the pain it is in. Because since October 7th, Israel and Jews worldwide have felt such great pain because of the tragedy of the lives lost and the lives kidnapped. And so my heart still turns to Jerusalem, to Israel, to hostages held, to soldiers still fighting. So tonight we focus on Jerusalem, and we think about the well-being of those we love, those who live in that ancient city. So like our ancestors, let us weep as did our ancestors did, near the waters of Babylon.
For these I
turn to page 674 for S-I-A-N-I. I lift my eyes to the heavens. From where does my comfort come? It comes from God. It comes from the holiness, that is in each heart. From the people that we love, from the hand that we hold. Comfort comes from community. Comfort comes from one another. S-I-A-N-I. And Terry, can you come forward to light our Shabbat candles tonight? I'd like to introduce cantorial soloist Jessica Steinman, who is filling in for Joel tonight. We've been connected to one another without ever having met for about 20 years, because her sister and I went to rabbinic school together back in the early 2000s. We met in 2003, and I have great respect for her sister, so I'm sure that she will be a great service leader tonight. I'm sure that they will do a good job. And as we light these candles, we open up a doorway through which the Shabbat bride enters our hearts and our lives. The candles, they remind us that the Sabbath bride needs a light to guide her, a light to bring her home, a light to bring her into our hearts.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Shel Shabbat.
On Tisha B'Av, it is traditional to read from the Book of Lamentations. And in Hebrew, the Book of Lamentations is called Echa. And Echa is translated as how. And I always think about, that word, how. How often do we ask ourselves, how? How did something occur? How did we find ourselves in this position? How is a key word that we ask ourselves time and time again. And so the book of Lamentations starts with this word, Echa, how? How did Jerusalem end up becoming a wasteland controlled by our enemies? And so it's traditional to read a few verses. So I'm going to read a few verses of Echa tonight to give you a sense of the book of Lamentations. And it begins in verse 1 by saying, Echa, how? How lonely sits the city that was once full of people. She has become like a widow, she that was great among the nations and princes among the provinces. She has become a vassal, a slave. And she weeps bitterly in the night. Jerusalem's tears, they're on her cheeks. And among all her lovers, she has none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. She has gone into exile because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwells among the nations. She finds no rest. All her pursuers overtook her in the midst of her distress. As we hear these words, we're getting an image of the people being exiled, the people leaving their lover. In this case, the lover is the city of Jerusalem, and how that lover has been left in ruins. And so it speaks about how enemies have torn these lovers apart. And it speaks about the tragedy that has befallen. And it ends the book of Lamentations with the words, "Turn us to you, O Eternal, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old, but you have utterly rejected us. You are very angry against us. Take us back, O God, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old." The book of Lamentations speaks about loss, but it prays for a time when reunification can occur. We rise for the Barhu found on page 146, and we face the ark. Remain standing for the Shema. Let us take one hand and cover our eyes. Say, you may be seated. We continue with the Vahafta found on page 154. The Vahafta reminds us of the power of love, of loving one another, of loving our religion, and of passing on our traditions and our teachings to the next generation. The Vahafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאותה ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר אשר תיתכם בארץ מצרים, לחיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. I failed.
12 spies, actually 12 tribal leaders were sent into the land of Canaan to scout it. The Israelites had left Egypt a year prior, and they were ready to enter the land of Canaan. They had princes and judges and rulers and army divisions. And so these 12 tribal leaders went in and they scouted the land for 40 days. And they saw its riches, and they came back and said to the people, the land is flowing with milk and honey. You are correct. But it is also filled with Nephilim, with giants. They will destroy us. And the people became terrified, and throughout the night they wailed, what has become of us, or what will become of us? Moses, Adonai, why did you bring us here only to die in Canaan? The next day, God said to Moses, these people, they're going to have to wait 40 years. This generation must die out. They do not believe. They do not believe strongly enough. Rabbi Yochanan, a couple hundred years later, he said that night that the people wailed, it was Tisha B'Av. And because God said to them, you wept for no reason, and for this I shall set this day for you as a time of weeping throughout the generations. This date that commemorates the destruction of the first and second temple, our tradition teaches us, was also the night that we learned that, we learned that we would not enter the land because of our fears. So this story teaches us that there's a time to weep. But when you do weep, make sure it is at the appropriate time. To always remember the good, that you can overcome all obstacles. And also not to let fear control you. We continue with the Micha Mocha found on page 158. Just like the Israelites, we're going to sing this with no fear. We're going to cross that sea of reeds with joy in our hearts. The Micha Mocha. Commemorates the destruction of both temples that began on the night that we believed we would not be able to conquer Israel. But Tisha B'Av is also associated with other great tragedies that befell the Jewish people. The trauma of the 9th of Av is not limited to just the destruction of the first and second temple. It's far from it. According to the Mishnah and later traditions, the day commemorates not just the destruction of our two temples and the sin of the 12 spies, but also the razing of Jerusalem following the siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE. The failure of Bar Kokhba's revolt against the Roman Empire. The expulsion of Jews from England in 1290. The expulsion of Jews from Spain in 1492. the eruption of World War I in 1914, the beginning of the 1942 deportation of Warsaw Ghetto Jews to the Treblinka extermination camp. It commemorates so many nights of sorrow. But no matter where we were, we had Shabbat. No one could take it away from us because it is our palace, defined by time and not by space. It lives on a calendar and cannot be destroyed. It is a moment we create wherever we are, whatever tragedy might be surrounding us. So Shabbat is a treasure we will always cherish because it's something that can never be stolen from us. So no matter where Jews are forced to go, Shabbat always went with them. It was always a shelter of peace. Ashki Venu, page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmot Tzedkenu Uvaenu Lechaim Ushalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmat Tzedkenu Uvaenu Lechaim Ushalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Try it with me. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
We turn to page 371 for the Misha Berach prayer. And we say the Misha Berach for those who are ill of mind, body, spirit. On our Misha Berach list, Sharon Friedman, Erwin Ames, Linda Sage, Michael Ryder, Fred Strauss, Catherine R. Salibi, Jeffrey Albaum, Stephen Howard, Mark Jeff, Lauren Kleinrock, Jim Harrison, Dory Glazer, Larry Rinaldi, Consuelo Pasantes, Janice Semyon, Steve Epstein, Barbara Korshak, Sarah Mindel, Gene Berger, Milo Mandel, Stephen Dobbs, Ezra Eston, Mark Vidal, Susan Vidal, Pam Branner, Steve Lincoln, Henry Lawsonberg, Lionel Sokol, Debbie Katz, Rick Birnbaum, Phil Oberman, Yoni Arusi, James Gleason, Laura Gleason, and Richard Underweiser. We also think of those in Israel, those affected by acts of terrorism, anti-Semitism, and bigotry, those healing from all too frequent gun violence, and all those caring for the ill. If you have an additional name for a Misha Barak list, please share it with me now. Misha Barak Avatenu V'Imatenu. May the God of our ancestors grant refuah shlema, complete and full healing to all those named tonight and to all those we hold in our hearts. And together we say, Amen. The singing of Misha Barak, page 371.
Misha Barak Avotenu Mekor HaBracha strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mekor HaBracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn to page 164 for the Amidah, the standing prayers. We rise if we are able. And the idea of the Amidah is to thank God for all the blessings in our lives, even if we have not yet received those blessings. We're always forward-thinking as Jews. Even when tragedy strikes, we think about how tomorrow will be a better day. And the Amidah is an example of that, because during its daily recitation, it speaks about a world with peace, a world where every mouth has enough to eat, a world where we're good to one another. The Amidah, page 164. We face the ark.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel. Ha'el ha'gadol ha'gibor v'hanora, El Elyon, gomel chasadim tovim, ve'konei hakol, ve'zocher chaste avot ve'imachot, umevi gula lifnei v'nechem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Zrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, דחכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלה. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We continue silently through page 180.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Israel, v'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim
If it's Tisha B'Av, my sermon always seems to focus on Jerusalem. How could I not touch upon this topic? Because it relates directly to this holiday. Come Tisha B'Av, I don't have to consider every possible topic on which I could speak. Just one always comes to mind: Jerusalem. So some years I'm nostalgic, and I remember my first experiences in this ancient city. In other years, I show my anger towards the Orthodox community because of the way they treat progressive Jews at the wall. In other years, well, I reflect on the idea of why do we even need this holiday? Because Jerusalem is once again ours. Why are we mourning? Shouldn't we be celebrating? And 3 years ago, I was looking at my old sermons, and 3 years ago in 2021, I focused on the idea of division. I'm not talking about math, but the kind of division that separates those who live in Jerusalem. Things like culture and religion and politics. In other words, I spoke about the old city and the people that fill its four quarters and its Temple Mount, the people that surround it on all sides. I spoke about violence and anger and hatred. I spoke about a city divided, one no longer controlled by the Jordanians as it was through 1967, but divided nonetheless. And I asked 3 years ago some difficult questions. I asked, how do we create a Jerusalem that is shared and loved by both Israelis and Palestinians? And I asked, how do we break down barriers that create conflicts so that we can revel in the joys of a shared holy land? When I asked these questions, I wondered, are they too much to ask? Are they too much to say aloud to this community? Will I shock people by asking them? And as I look back on these questions 3 years later, they seem too simplistic. They don't seem shocking today. They just seem silly in today's world. A city shared and loved, a city where we revel together in joy. It's hard to even believe I spoke those words just 3 years ago. As we've seen since October 7th, togetherness seems to be antithetical to the continuing conflict. At this moment, words like shared, loved, and joy are so far from the conversation that they disappeared from the lexicon focused on this war. So right now, I dream of so much less, or perhaps so much more, depending on your perspective. I dream of hostages being released, of a war ending, of Israelis living safely regardless of how close their homes reside to a border, whether it's the Gazan border or the northern border. And I also dream of innocent Gazans being able to raise their children with simple pleasures, like a world without bombs destroying their homes. It seems that the superlatives of which I once dreamed seem pedestrian in today's world. So many terrible things have happened to Jews on Tisha B'Av, so many tragedies. Tragedies persist for Jews and for so many others. Now, I know Gaza is not Jerusalem, but Jerusalem is the emotional heart of Jews and Palestinians. Control of Jerusalem is always part of every conversation between these two communities. And as we know about conversations in the Mideast, well, conversations turn into arguments, arguments turn into conflict, wars break out, and both sides believe that their actions are just, and peace so often becomes a forgotten dream. So today we find ourselves in the midst of a decades-old conflict that continues to spiral out of control. And who loses? The innocent, like those dancing into the night of the Nova Festival, like those residing quietly in their kibbutzim on the border, like those trying to feed their children and just live peaceful lives day by day. This is not a sermon that seeks to find a solution to a crisis. I don't even think this is a sermon tonight. It's just a reminder. I'm trying to remind us that we have suffered time and time again, and that suffering, excuse my language, suffering just sucks completely. And as Jews, our suffering lives in our souls and in our rituals and in our yearly observances. Our history teaches us to minimize the suffering of others. At least it should. Have we forgotten this lesson because of our own misery? Is our own suffering so great that we've forgotten to remember that others feel pain just like us? When loss occurs in their lives and in their communities, is their pain different than ours? Perhaps, though, our suffering is too great. What happened on October 7th is so tragic. I think about my own daughters who are now 23 and 25. I think about how a year ago I had a group of congregants in Israel. My daughter decided to visit some friends. She popped into the tour, into the mission once or twice. And in the middle of all this, she went to a rave outside of Jerusalem with her friends, like any 24-year-old would do. And thank God it wasn't the Nova event, but any young adult, not teenager, any young adult could easily find themselves at a rave. And Jerusalem, Israel, is no different than any other country. And when you go to a rave, you don't expect death and terror. You expect joy and happiness, and maybe a little too much inebriation. Who would have imagined the terror that occurred there that night? Who danced the night before, thinking that the next morning they would wake up? And when I think about that terror of that event, it rings very close to home. But heartbreak is an emotion shared by all. To ignore the pain of the Gazans, the innocent Gazans, not the terrorists, in no way would I ever condone Hamas. But to remember the innocent Gazans is a must that we have to do. Because Jerusalem will never be truly united until we understand that regardless of religion, every mother cries for a dead child. We need to remember that the key to our survival is and always has been our ability to dream of a better future, to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles are placed before us, and disregard those who predict that our existence is about to end. Tisha B'Av is about mourning, but it's also about reflecting upon our vision for the future. Thinking about our past, about our connection to Jerusalem, should help guide us while building a better tomorrow. So I have to ask, what should tomorrow look like? How do we protect Jew and non-Jew alike? How do we prove ourselves to truly be prophets, the prophets the Bible describes, the prophets that lead other nations forward? Tonight I have no answers to share. It's just a reminder. Do not forget that most hearts are broken as easily as our own. If we remember that, perhaps we can find at least the first step towards a solution to all that pains us and to all that pains Israel. Shabbat Shalom. And I'm going to ask Lori Getz to come forward to give us some announcements. And I'm going to put you right over there.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much for that reminder. That was wonderful, Rabbi John. Thank you. And thank you for leading us in song tonight, cantorial soloist Jessica Steinman, and to Adam Perry on the piano, thank you, and to James in the back for all of your AV wizardry. A few quick announcements. Next week, we will be celebrating Shabbat at the beach. We will be meeting at Westward Beach. Please join us and bring a picnic dinner. Services will start at 6. Our annual Community Blowout Shabbat is coming up on August 23rd. This is one of my favorite events, and it includes a watermelon eating contest. Kids, adults, everybody is welcome. Please come. If you'd like to RSVP, you can use the QR code on your Shalom sheet. We are always looking for new sponsors for Shabbat and all of our events. Sponsoring an event is a great way to honor a loved one or to show your commitment to Kol Tikva. So please, please, please consider sponsoring a Shabbat or an event. The first day of religious school is August 25th on Sunday, and then the Tuesday religious school starts on the 27th with the teen programming as well. If you have not yet registered your child, please do so immediately. Also, a big thank you to everybody who has already renewed their membership, and a very quick reminder, if you have not, please do so soon. It will make sure that you get your High Holy Day tickets. Check out all of our events on our Kol Tikva website and call the office if you have questions. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, in Shabbat Shalom.
We turn to page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Our hearts turn to those who have recently left our community. Howard M. Ozer, remembered by the Ames family. Susie Suchovieski, remembered by the newborn and Suchovieski families. Milton Schuffman, remembered by the Schuffman, Fractor, and Wetzel families. And we also hold in our prayers the 12 Israeli Druze children killed in northern Israel, the hostages and soldiers we have lost along with those killed in the current Mideast conflict, those taken by gun violence, those that have passed due to floods, fires, and other natural and unnatural disasters, and those that have no one but us to say Kaddish for them. We also think about those who have died during the season in years past. Helen Albert, Marcia Kane, Esther Cohen, Tony Cordier, Helen Falkowitz, Beatrice Feynman, Ralph Freund, Harold Glucksman, Lynn Cassangati, Ruth N. Kahn, Rose Cassell, Henriette Kleinman, Molly Leiterman, Jesse Levy, Florence Nugroshi, Charles Newman, Fanny Oxman, Ellen Marcia Pittler, Judy Rosen, Adam Schulman, Pauline Seawack, Gordon Sennett, Nathan Shapiro, Nancy Singman, Francis Stusser, and Erwin Levinson. If you have an additional name for our Kaddish or Yortzeit list, please share it with me now. If you're in the first 7 days of mourning Shiva, please rise. If you're in the first 30 days of mourning Shloshim, please rise. If you're in the first year of mourning, please rise. If you're observing a Yortzeit, please rise. These are the mourners in our midst. We rise to show them our love and our support. We are on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlech malchutei, v'chayachon v'mechon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, v'galav v'zman kariv v'imru. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarak le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabak v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha barechu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiran b'alma v'imru. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace on high grant peace to all who mourn, to all Israel, and to all humankind. And together we say, we're doing something a bit different tonight because it's Tisha B'Av. We're going to sing Hatikva, the hope, a song about Israel, and by extension about Jerusalem, can be found on page 678. We will sing the Israeli national anthem together. And we have our Israeli flag in the corner, page 678.
Yehudi, Homi. ולפאתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון צופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים.
And now let's put our arms around one another for the singing of Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom. Shalom bimromav.
הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום. I don't hear you. שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. One more time. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Brian and Max, come hold our Kiddush cup tonight. And everyone, while they're coming forward, should pick up their imaginary Kiddush cups. Fill them with a little grape juice or wine or schnapps, whatever you like. And they're going to pick up our real one, and we're going to do a short Kiddush tonight. Here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen lechaim. We're doing the short one. Thank you. I know you wanted to keep going.